Was there discussion of his coming to live in Washington?
No, we were going to commute back and forth.
But he was basically...
He was going to stay in Los Angeles, and I would come back and forth every other week, yes. And then he came to Washington every other week.
But for the most part, you were the one who was doing the commute.
No, we both commuted.
You both did it?
Yes.
Now, how difficult was this arrangement? You had to get used to a new city, a new legislature, and a new marriage.
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
Well, it was exciting and wonderful. It was, I enjoyed it. It was great. It was great. It was... who would want to go to Washington doing this? Who wants to go to Washington by themselves? I mean, who wants to go there to Washington? It's a horrible place to have to be there by yourself, a woman by herself there. But see, one of the things is in this whole thing was, as soon as I won that primary and we got married, the first call I got was that they were trying to get someone to chair the Democratic Convention, and that they had gotten in a stalemate. The women wanted a woman, and the African Americans wanted a black to be co-chair of the Democratic Convention, and they couldn't think of anyone, and so they decided that they would call me, and if I would chair the Democratic Convention. My husband was a different, also, you know, he was still on a different wing of the party than I was. He was a Humphrey delegate. So we said yes, and we were off to Miami, where I was the vice chair of the Democratic Convention.
Tell me about that. What was that?
It was wonderful. It was exciting. It was tough. I chaired that for 14 hours at one time.
How were you received? I mean, you were a brand new face to most of these people.
Everybody was wonderful. Everyone was really great. The only thing that was interesting was on the last night of the convention, you know, we thought it was going to be short, and I was going to go to a party, so I had on a halter, and I put a white coat over it, a halter dress, long dress they used to wear in those days. And then the TV people said, that white jacket, we can't work with. You've got to take that jacket off. I said, I can't take the jacket off. I have a halter around it. They said, well, we can't. You've got to take the jacket off. I take the jacket off, and I'm sitting up there in a halter top. And some people said, these women were saying, and she was there in a halter top chairing the Democratic Convention. And one lady who was Dorothy Bush, who was the secretary, she said, and I explained to them, she didn't want to take her jacket off. They made her take her jacket off.
And it's, you know, those are the kinds of situations that a woman
that's right.
gets into.
That's
that a man
right.
doesn't have to worry about.
Worries about.
You take
right.
your jacket off, you got a shirt on. You know, it's
right.
not. But how, again, tell me about the transition into the U.S. Congress. What was that like for you?
Well, I know you have to learn. Wherever you go, you have to learn the process. And it was a learning experience. I got good committees again. And I proceeded to get acclimated. And I believe that ultimately I really grasped the whole approach. And then, of course, I was fortunate. I was elected to Appropriation Committee, which there was the first time they didn't go by seniority. You were elected by your caucus. So I was elected to Appropriations. That's how I got on Appropriations Committee.
Ah.
Obviously, I didn't have the seniority.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because I was when I read that
right.
you know that you had been on the Appropriations Committee. That was.
And I wasn't very long there before I got pregnant. And I was having a baby, and I was commuting back and forth from Los Angeles.
And you're going to tell me again that that was exciting and fun.
It was not exciting and fun, but I was also doing speeches. But you know what? I did it, you know, and again, the members of Congress were fabulous. They were really great. You know, they gave me like a shower, you know, and my colleagues were great. The first time they'd ever had maternity leave, so there'd never been a woman have a baby in Congress at that time. One of the Republicans made the motion to have, for the first time, a member of Congress to have maternity leave.
Well, that's more groundbreaking that you were doing, you know.
And people were, you know, everyone was, I always say this, she had 435 godfathers, you know, and godmothers. So it was great. I had a great experience, and I didn't leave Congress because I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed it very much. But by the time my daughter got to be old enough to go to school, in first grade, it just was going to be impossible. So I had to make some choices. And that's when I decided to come back to Los Angeles.